Rural Minnesota at night is a darkness that swallows everything. A vast, inky void where the stars seem distant and the horizon disappears. It's a place where the silence hums, and the air itself feels heavy with secrets. Headlights become beacons, roads become lifelines, even sound seems to get absorbed by the sheer emptiness. The usual crickets and nocturnal creatures are muted, as if holding their breath. The landscape is endless fields, stretching out like a dark ocean under a starless sky. Lonely roads cut through this darkness, offering the only path forward, and a silence so deep it feels alive, a presence that watches and waits. It's a silence that can get under your skin, making you question every shadow and every rustle in the grass. On May 14, 2008, Brandon Swanson, 19, a young man full of promise, was driving home after celebrating the end of his college semester, eager to return to the familiar comfort of his family. He was a good kid, the kind of young man who made his parents proud, with a future as wide open as the prairie he called home. He had dreams, ambitions, and a whole life ahead of him. But that night, a simple wrong turn would spark a mystery that still haunts these fields. A chilling reminder of how easily a life can be derailed. Brandon vanished without a trace, swallowed by the darkness, leaving behind only questions and a chilling silence that echoes through the years. The land itself became a maze, a labyrinth of dirt roads and unmarked paths, flat, featureless, and unforgiving, offering no landmarks, no solace. Out here, getting lost is easy, a common occurrence for even the most seasoned travelers. Disappearing is something else entirely, a terrifying prospect that lingers in the back of everyone's mind. What happened to Brandon on that dark road? What series of events led to his disappearance? The story is a puzzle with too many missing pieces, a frustrating enigma that defies easy answers. Sometimes the scariest thing is not what's out there lurking in the shadows, but what's left behind when someone is gone, the void they leave in the lives of those who loved them. May 13, 2008. Brandon, a young college student, decided to join some friends for an evening out in Canby, Minnesota. It was a chance to unwind and enjoy the company of familiar faces in a relaxed, small-town setting. The group then made their way to Lyon, another small town nearby, continuing their celebration as the semester drew to a close. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air as they marked the end of their academic endeavors with a well-deserved night out. Brandon wasn't known for reckless behavior, he was simply a young man enjoying a night out with friends, making memories and savoring the freedom of youth. He wasn't one to take unnecessary risks, especially when behind the wheel. As the evening wound down, Brandon decided to head home to Marshall, a familiar drive he had made countless times before. He looked forward to the comfort of his own bed and the peace of a quiet night. The drive was usually uneventful, a straight shot down the rural highways of southwestern Minnesota. He knew the roads like the back of his hand, or so he thought. But on this particular night, in the inky blackness, he made a wrong turn. Instead of staying on the paved highway, he found himself on a less traveled gravel road. Before he could correct his mistake, his car slid off the road and into a ditch. It wasn't a collision, thankfully, but the car was firmly stuck, unable to move. Remaining calm and collected, Brandon reached for his cell phone and called his parents for assistance. He knew they would be worried if he didn't come home. He believed he was somewhere near Lyon, confidently describing the distant town lights and the surrounding landscape to his parents, hoping to guide them to his location. He felt certain they would be there soon. With a sense of urgency, his parents immediately set out to find him, anticipating a simple and routine rescue mission. They grabbed flashlights and prepared for a quick extraction. But the darkness can be deceptive, playing tricks on the eyes and distorting perceptions. Unbeknownst to Brandon, his certainty about his location was tragically flawed, a misjudgment that would soon have devastating consequences. They diligently searched the network of rural roads, flashing their headlights in hopes of catching his attention, but their efforts were met with only empty, dark roads. And so, Brandon waited, alone in the darkness. He was completely unaware that he was actually miles away from where he believed himself to be, lost in a labyrinth of rural roads. The night, which had begun as an ordinary and carefree evening, was about to transform into an unforgettable nightmare, a haunting mystery shrouded in darkness. A seemingly simple mistake, a wrong turn on a dark road, had unknowingly set the stage for a mystery that no one could have possibly foreseen. And so, the search for Brandon Swanson was just beginning, a search that would soon become a desperate race against time. The silence of the night was shattered. At 1:54 a.m., Brandon placed a call home, a call that would forever alter the course of their lives. The digital clock on his phone screen glowed with an eerie light, marking the beginning of a desperate race against time. His voice, laced with panic, broke through the receiver. "Mom, I ran my car into a ditch." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of the unknown. His parents, Annette and Brian, jolted awake, their hearts pounding in their chests. They tried to keep their voices calm, reassuring him that everything would be all right. They immediately jumped into their car and drove out, desperately trying to pinpoint his location while keeping him on the phone, his voice their only guide in the darkness. They began to systematically search every road near Lynn, their headlights cutting through the inky blackness, hoping to catch a glimpse of his car. But mile after mile they saw no sign of Brandon or his car, only the desolate emptiness of the rural landscape. The silence of the night was broken only by the hum of their engine and the growing fear in their hearts. Brandon, disoriented and scared, insisted he could see their lights in the distance, a beacon of hope in the overwhelming darkness. He was convinced he was close, just a short walk away from safety and reassurance. In a desperate attempt to reach them, he made a fateful decision. He left his car, planning to walk toward what he believed was a bar's parking lot in Lynn, drawn by the promise of light and help. As he walked further into the night, he described the landscape around him, fields stretching out into the darkness, fences marking the boundaries of unseen properties, and the distinct sound of running water, a stream or creek hidden somewhere nearby. Brian, who knew the area intimately, grew increasingly confused, because nothing Brandon described matched the actual landscape surrounding Lynn. The pieces simply didn't fit. The phone call stretched on, each minute feeling like an eternity, both sides growing more anxious and desperate for a solution. As time wore on, Brandon's initial confidence began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of dread. The horrifying realization dawned on him. He was hopelessly lost, swallowed by the vast, unforgiving darkness. For 47 agonizing minutes, father and son clung to the fragile phone connection, their voices trembling with fear and desperation, hoping against hope for a breakthrough that would lead them to each other. But the landscape in Brandon's increasingly frantic words simply didn't exist on any map his father knew, creating a terrifying disconnect. The distance between them was becoming more than just geographical miles. It was a chasm of confusion and despair. The night was relentlessly slipping away, each passing moment diminishing their chances of finding him, and with each fading moment, so was Brandon, disappearing deeper into the unknown. The call continued. Brandon walking, Brian searching, both desperate for a sign. Brandon described lights, fences, and the sound of water, but nothing fit. The conversation was a lifeline, every word a clue. Then suddenly Brandon shouted, "Oh, it's asterisk!" The line went dead. Brian called back, voicemail again and again. That final exclamation was the last anyone ever heard from Brandon. Did he fall? See someone? Was it fear, surprise, or something worse? The silence that followed was deafening. In that instant, hope turned to dread. For his family, the world stopped. The mystery deepened with every unanswered call. Brandon was gone, swallowed by the night. With the call cut off, panic set in. Brian and Annette searched through the night, but Brandon was nowhere. At dawn, they reported him missing. Police traced his phone. He'd been near Porter, not Lynn, 25 miles away. They found his car, stuck but undamaged, confirming his predicament. The search exploded. Hundreds of volunteers, dogs, aircraft, and divers scoured the area. Search dogs traced Brandon's scent from the car, along a fence, toward the Yellow Medicine River. The trail matched his phone descriptions, then stopped abruptly in a field. No sign of Brandon, no evidence he entered the river. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air. The searchers were left with nothing but questions and a cold trail. The void where Brandon should have been grew larger with every passing hour. Years have passed, but for the Swanson family, time is frozen on that night. Theories abound. Did Brandon fall into the river, or meet someone in the dark? Extensive searches found nothing. No clothes, no phone, no trace. The dog trail stopped before the water, deepening the mystery. Some believe he was lost and succumbed to the elements, others fear foul play. The case remains open, a haunting story retold in true crime circles. It's a primal fear, to vanish without a trace, to have no answers. Brandon's story is about more than a missing person. It's about the fragility of certainty. Sometimes, there are no explanations. Only silence. The emptiness is its own kind of torment. The echoes of that night still linger. Brandon's disappearance changed Minnesota law. Brandon's law now requires immediate action in missing person cases. For his family, life is divided into before and after. They search, hope, and wait, living with the ache of not knowing. Every call, every news story brings a surge of hope and dread. The pain is daily, not distant: a missing chair, a lost future. Theories abound, but answers are few. No crime scene, no suspect, no body, just a car, a phone call, and silence. The story ends where it began: a dark road, endless fields, and a question with no answer. Somewhere the truth is buried, maybe in the land, maybe in memory. Until it's found, Brandon remains a 19-year-old lost in the night. His story is a whisper on the prairie wind, a mystery that endures, and the silence lingers, waiting to be broken.